So when you were elected in 2018, when it all started?
Well, they say it was 50 years of deputy gangs on the department,
Yes.
but it became a crisis as soon as I walked in the door. And somehow I was responsible for it. I was 7 years old, 50, back when I came into office, 50 years back. And 55, yeah, do the math. And they didn't care about gangs when Jim McDonnell was in office. Now that Luna's in office, all of a sudden there's no more special hearings on deputy gangs. They're not going to subpoena Luna. They're not going to subpoena McDonnell.
Because you're not in the office. You were the problem. They got rid of you?
Yes, and they used the subpoenas. Everything was theater, designed to deceive a public that was unfortunately gullible enough to buy into the lie. And they never could produce any evidence. I say, hey, show me who they are. I'll be more than happy to terminate them. But I can't round up people because they got a tattoo and fire them. Oh my God, the lawsuits, the payouts would be astronomical. But they didn't care. It was all about, he's defying subpoenas.
But was there a moment when you felt their love, quote unquote? Because you were a Democrat, right? You got elected.
The only time I felt the love was during the campaign in 18. And everything that I campaigned on when I took office, I actually did. I got the body-worn cameras. I got ICE out of the jails. I reformed the department's force policies. I brought down violence in the jails. I balanced the budget. I had the department more transparent, more inclusive. We did 104 town halls in the 4 years I was sheriff. 104, and that includes during the pandemic. So we reached out everywhere, totally transparent. It did not matter. Because as soon as they realized that I could not be negotiated or bargained with to look the other way, I had to be removed at all costs.
But have you ever had this situation where you have to obey or we will do the nasty stuff to you? Was there a situation like that?
Oh no, they knew better than to even try that.
Oh really?
Everything they did it behind closed doors.
So they didn't even try to bribe you?
No, they knew better, because trying to bribe me would have been a crime itself and I would have made the arrest.
Yeah, but I mean, bribing, like, stick with the party, do this instead of that, and you'll be good.
They didn't even bother. You would think that they would have said, hey, you know what, why don't you tone down, why don't you work with them? No. My first month on the job, the board hired a law firm to sue me. My first month.
You had a tough
Ink
love.
wasn't even dry on the paper yet, and they were already suing me. They had no interest because they realized that I was someone you could not basically negotiate my principles.
Were you surprised that this happened in the first month?
Well, it kind of happened little by little, kind of like the frog in the pot. You don't know that
the water is boiling?
The water is boiling, but that's how it was. They kept doing one thing after another, and they kept weaponizing all the components of county government, county council, telling me, oh, you're just a department head. We're going to tell you how you're going to do this or do that. I said, no, that's my decision, not yours. They try to represent my interests when we were defendants, because once you take over the job, you are defendant in a bunch of things that are ongoing. And they were trying to dictate how things were happening as if they were speaking for me. I said, no, wait a minute. That's not what I want. You're not going to speak for me. And all of a sudden, that was like, oh my God, the brakes are on. Hey, wait a minute, this guy's not going with the program. And a lot of it had to do with management of the jails. The sheriff runs the jails. The board of supervisors does not run the jail. But they didn't care, because under McDonnell, they told McDonnell what to do. Under Luna, they're telling him what to do. And of course, the jails are falling apart.
So would you say there is a deep state in the U.S.?
There's a bureaucratic state for sure. And, but it's mostly aligned with the party that's in charge. Like in California, it's one party all the time. So there's really not a deep state per se, because it's just the party who's in charge. They run everything. There is no checks and balances. There's no opposing point of views, because everything is progressive, far left liberal, not moderate, far left. The people in Sacramento govern from the far left. You know, people say you can campaign on one extreme or the other, but when you govern, you're supposed to govern from the middle.
Yes.
Not in California, not in LA, no. They govern, they believe they have a mandate to govern from the far left. Hence all the policies that you're saying, why is California falling apart? Criminal justice reform for them? Well, they decided the criminal justice system was racist. They just decided it's racist because more black men are disproportionately incarcerated. Well, I'm sorry to break the news to them, but FBI statistics alone nationally, they're involved in more crime. They're also victims more frequently of crime. But they don't care about that part. The victim part is never a concern to them. It's all about virtue signaling. We're going to free up the victims of mass incarceration. No, you're freeing up murderers, rapists, robbers.
Changing the word, the terms, basically.
Yeah, they just manipulate the language to make them victims. And who are the bad guys? The cops. The cops are racist. The cops are, you know, thug with a badge. You know, they're trigger happy. All these terminology, and we have to decarcerate the jails and the prisons for a true, safer, you know, community.